And welcome back to sunny Southern California, where it is time for the semifinals here at the Esports Arena. The 2017 Summoners War World Championship Series. Los Angeles Regionals, Ali Najad, Claytano, Koopa have been privy to some amazing battles to this point, and we have whittled the field of 16 down to 4 guys. Win in this round, and you are guaranteed a spot at Worlds next month in November for the $50,000 first place prize. But the money now, guaranteed $400 per head. $1,000 will go to second, $2,000 to first place. Not bad for an afternoon.
Not bad. Plus, you get some in-game currency, so that helps too.
Of course, we cannot ever sell short the in-game currency.
Right. And I think for this though, it's for some of these guys especially, it's not about the money. You know, they've been playing this game for 3 years. The friendships and the amount of positive energy here. They're doing it just for, you know, it's that title. You know, they're proud to be here.
The prestige, the love of the game, no doubt, is what these guys are all playing for. And the first two to do battle in the semis are Faintmemory and Barion. What do you guys expect to see out of these guys?
I don't know. I still feel like Barion's going to bring back that light Sky Dancer, and it's going to be interesting to see how Faint is actually going to counter Barion. I think Barion's, again, the favorite to win this one, but Faint looking really, really strong in all of his matches so far today, and I can imagine that he's going to bring that same confidence into his fight with Barion as well, and potentially knock out one of the main favorites here today.
No doubt about it, so let's waste no further time getting these guys down to the set. First up, it is Barion. He is the elder statesman of the field at 42 years of age. And despite all of that experience and wisdom, the man still has his fears.
I don't know if I fear anything. I would say that, if anything, I'm a little bit apprehensive of the unknown. Usually right before the match, I'll be a little nervous, but this feels like more like a wrestling match where you know, leading up to it, you prepare as best you can, and then at that moment, you're gonna be nervous because, and hopefully, the more you prepare, the less nervous you get. So.
I certainly haven't seen any nerves out of Barion, but remains to be seen how he's going to react to the name that's rolling off my tongue. The man he's going to have to face, Faintmemory. Just 27 years of age, Faint took a moment to talk to us about his style of play in Summoners War.
My style of play is very aggressive. I think the best, like, right now the meta is CC, right? Crowd control. I think the best crowd control is to, like, just kill off a unit, pick off a unit early. So I aim to take turn 1 and then bring lots of damage. But sometimes it's not possible with, like, how their opponent, like, their rune quality. But it's always possible to cut in, because nobody really has, like, really fast runes on everybody. So there's always a loophole somewhere there, and then you can take advantage of that, cut in, and then maybe capitalize, pick off a unit.
Faint said that his dream right now is to just pull an LD Nat 5. That's
I share that
really
dream
wants
with
to
him.
do. Well, we know that. You haven't stopped talking about it since we got going.
Later tonight, Faintmemory and I, we're going to do some scrolls later. Maybe we can change that.
I'll do some with you. I need another LD Nat 5.
I need to get that master pack.
I have not done that yet.
It's not about you guys.
That's true.
You're right. No, it's about them. Faintmemory, Barion, these guys battled each other about a month prior. Barion had said that, you know, this is one of the guys that he'd want to go up against, and it's been a while since they've gone head-to-head. So here we are, 30 days later.
And how did it end the month back?
I think Faintmemory ended up actually beating Barion.
So Barion looking for a measure of revenge. Interesting storyline. Barion says he plays 10 to 18 hours per day, while Faint says that he plays 15 to 20 per week. So kind of opposite sides of the time investments.
All right,
spectrum.
we'll have to see. We got first pick from Faintmemory going with Ganami. Barion responding with Wusa. Molong looking for his second 2. Faintmemory also getting his speed lead Chiwu with Rakuni. Barion trying to decide what he wants to do. Is he going to throw Tessarion? Is he going to go Ciara? He does throw Ciara.
We've actually seen Chiwu on all of Faint's
Yes, he loved that
matches.
unit. We talked about
every
this
single
last
time.
night, that was one of his favorite units to draft.
And didn't he just pull it too?
I'm
Not
not sure
too
about
long
that,
ago.
but I know he's got a really fast despair set on his Shiwu and loves using it. I mean, we've seen how it just crushes people. How many times he gets to sleep with skill 1, and then the despair stuns, and then being able to remove immunity effects with how popular immunity buffers are in this game right now, especially with units like Wusa. So this is going to be an interesting draft. Faintmemory throwing Water Fairy King along with Ji Wusu's got 2 speed lead options. Barion maybe seeing that, you know, his CR might get banned. We just saw in the interview, Faintmemory likes taking turn 1. So if Barion doesn't choose a speed lead, he might take second turn. And if Faintmemory gets enough momentum, that might be all it takes for Faintmemory to get the way. He does pick Fade. This is what he needed to do.
Absolutely. You just talked about that because you see that Faint's going for that Ganymede-Hathor combination once again. How completely dominant it was against Make It a Bud. But
And Barion's letting him have it.
Barion is letting him have it, but his strategy is that he's going to be outspeeding him.
Well, we
And
don't
then
know.
taking
Water
down
Fairy
one.
King, 33% speed over 24% speed. Faintmemory might go first.
There is a very good possibility that he might go first, and we will see right now.
He doesn't. Wusa gets the first turn.
But Wusa's not really the problem.
Here
Oh,
comes the problem.
you would think that his
There's a
Shiwu
sleep on
being-
CR. Chiwu setting up for the Despair strips every form of immunity. Ganymede getting Seal Magic, playing it Amo long. And then what I tell you, Violent Proc.
Violent Proc
Guaranteed.
right into himself again, ventilating for another Seal Magic next turn. Faintmemory actually looking really good, and he starts the combo with Delayed Promise now, dropping all 4
Right.
sleeps.
We saw this before with Megan Bud, and this is not where Barion wants to be right now.
Decreased cooldown on Sierra, and now he's just working it down until he takes down Sierra, and then he'll move on to his next victim after that. And it's just up to Barion now to hope that he can get out of it at some point. But we've seen this Ganny-Hathor combination just so...
Yeah, he just loves sleeping at Barion's units right now, and the Ventilate being able to decide who you want to reset and being able to reset Thor like we saw in the previous match. Those two are just terrible together in a good way.
Yep, able to overwhelm though, and gets the counter from Faye, but not enough to really do too much on the Samat there. Stunning as he's removing the sleep as well, and Barion's just kind of sitting back. There's not much he can really do about it.
Who do you guys give the edge to at this point?
Faintmemory at 100%.
You know, with being able to control skills, I mean, even Faye revenging like that, there's not really much opportunity for Faye to really, you know, play any skill. Or for
And
Barion
the
to be able to
stun
evil-
again.
Right, it's just exactly the way Faintmemory plays. He likes to take his turns, and he likes to get control, and he likes to keep the momentum on his side, and he did exactly that up against Barion in match 1.
I'm a little bit surprised that Barion chose the approach that he did and allowed Faintmemory to get that Ganymede.
Well, that was
Hathor
Faintmemory's
combination.
first pick. He got the Ganymede.
But he could have banned them.
Right, he could have. Yeah, he could have.
And he let them both go through. And now he's suffering some of those.
I bet he won't let that happen again.
And that's it though. Round 1 goes to Faintmemory, and Barion in a tough situation again going into the next round. Is he gonna let him through, change up his entire strategy, or maybe it could go down to the pick?
I think that Wind Fairy King is a unit that they both use in their composition. So we'll see who gets first pick. You know, if Faintmemory does get first pick, does he pick him again? How does Barion respond?
And it's not.
I feel as though Barion could have pulled this same comp, but having banned Ganymede or having banned Hathor had a different outcome, right?
It definitely could have had a different outcome, but I still feel like that Chiwu's got something going
There's
on
something
with him
magical
today.
about him.
He
He's
has
got
been
like
getting very.
Yeah, somehow it's like 200% accuracy. I don't know. It's crazy. It's all to win for Faintmemory. Good performance.
Super dominating by Faintmemory on that one. That's extremely scary to see. And like Flaw said when he was up here, that Faint could potentially win it all.
Right, he's one of the most unforeseen players, is I think the way that he said it, and we're definitely seeing it now.
So, Barion.
With the first pick, this is what he wanted. Will he pick Wind Fairy King? And he does.
Looks like he goes for it.
Felt kind of predictable, didn't it?
Right, kind of did. Yeah, with some of these guys, when they use the same units, It's moments like this when it really comes down to, you know, what they've gone through, what they've learned. This is what separates like a G3 player from like G2 or G1.
And Faint knew exactly where he was going on the heels of what felt like that predictable Ganymede lead by Barion as he goes with the Raccoon Hathor.
Yep, Raccoon Hathor right into it, so instead of trying to outspeed control, he still grabs his Hathor because it definitely helps out, especially with that resistance lead, but it's a completely different style of composition just by having that Raccoon in there.
Faintmemory hesitant on his own Chiwu, which I don't think we've seen that yet so far. I don't think he's ever not drafted his Chiwu yet.
See how it works out for him, though. It's been working out for him so far.
Yeah, he can try something different. He has that, you know, he can lose once. He can try something completely different to try and change it up. To go toe-to-toe with Barion, he knows that Barion is an adaptable player. And so changing up something entirely, you know, with a new strategy is smart.
Leica, definitely an excellent counter, though, to Sierra and Ganymede.
And there it is, Yana, that LD nat 5.
So strong, provides a lot of sustainability on Barion's team, so just in case things go wrong and he's left down to, say, the Raccoon and Leica.
Ooh, what's happening?
We may have a device powering down from
Ran
low
out of
power.
battery.
Look at that. It happens to the best of us.
It happens everywhere.
And by the way, that build out looked like it was going to be a good situation for Barion.
It could have gone either way, I think, at that point. And
Got
the way,
that
like we had
first
talked
turn.
about earlier, this kind of stuff does happen. We had an incident earlier where there was a draft and they ended up having to reset. So I think we're going to find ourselves in another situation like that. They have the ref on standby trying to make the call, and we're probably going to have to wait until they get some power into that device.
Could Faint maybe make an adjustment based on what he's seen here?
He could.
You know, I mean, let's be honest, it's a realistic possibility that he's gotten kind of
Right.
a glimpse into how Barion was.
It kind of goes into like the reverse psychology, though. Is like, will you just pick the same? Are you underthinking it? Are you overthinking it? You know,
But I think a main portion of it was that Barion got the first turn in that round,
that is
and it could potentially be different
right.
in the next round once we reset.
Right, like from M2, when it was between Fa and I, a big part of that was I needed first pick to pick Wusa. Because if he had gotten first pick to pick Wusa, I didn't have enough units to counter that. And he knew that. And I got really lucky and got a lot of first picks. And so sometimes in this situation, that's sometimes what it comes down to. But Barion has enough experience, and he has, you know, more units than a lot of players. So even if he doesn't get that first pick, he just has to build that scenario and build that team that even if he gets a second pick, he can still get the win over Faintmemory.
And building is something that Barion has done over the course of his career with regards to experience in game playing, and he shared some of that with us.
The game I was looking for was Summoner Wars, which is a board game that they turned into a electronic game. I ended up finding Summoner's War, so the placement of the S was key there. So.
Well, every now and again, the Google will land you on something you didn't expect, and no looking back for Barion. By the way, guys, Faintmemory, 5-0 so far. Nobody has beaten him in a game. So who will crack the code? Will it be Barion? He certainly has to do it here if he doesn't want to get eliminated and swept. Steely-eyed.
Very focused.
Very focused.
Very
like you said.
focused.
And here the nerves start kicking back in, especially for Barion being down 1-0 already. Thinking about what he's going
This
to do.
is intended, you know. He kind of he undid that power cord to give him a little bit more time.
Yeah,
to think.
come on.
This is,
It's clear. He was like, I don't like the way this looks. Hit the power
right,
button.
right.
That's the kind of strat that people don't talk about. And let's go down to a soundbite of Faintmemory, who tells us how he got mixed up into this Summoner's War business.
I first started playing Summoner's War in October 2015. I think back then I was like a pretty heavy League of Legends player, but I wanted to take a break, so I looked into something else, and then I found Summoner's War because it was like at the top of the list. Yeah, and then when I downloaded it and I started playing, it got me hooked.
You guys ever get involved in that League of Legends stuff?
I did.
Yeah, I think a lot of people start in like PC or console,
Sure.
and then you want to try out mobile, and then it's like once you try mobile games, it's actually really hard to get away from it, especially with a game like Summoner's War. You click it, then you can go do something else. You can actually be really productive. Like, you could play Summoner's War and do the dishes at the same time, you know?
The
Like,
multitasker.
yeah, the multitasking.
Koopa.
Yeah,
Can't
no,
play
for sure.
League
Or you could play
the
Summoner's
dishes
War
at
and another
the
game
same
at the same time. Faintmemory with the first pick, getting the win. Fairy King Barion nodding his head, ready to try and build something against this team that he knows he's going to struggle with. Okeano Ciara.
And this is unfortunate for Barion, who had first pick
He did.
before the power down.
He did.
And you can see as soon as that came down, he was like nodding his head, just expecting that to happen
Right.
to him, because it's one of those things where if you think it's going to happen, it's going to happen, and it ended up being so. Faintmemory again taking the Hathor as well to pair with the Ganymede, so it's up to Barion to decide if he wants to let them both through again or potentially.
I'm willing to bet my life that he doesn't let them both through again.
I'm
Although
willing to bet it
that's
as well.
probably a lot to bet.
That is a lot to bet.
He ends up
Stranger
taking
Things
the
have happened.
Water Fairy King and Wind Panda. 2 speed leads for Barion. Barion looking to get that first turn, possibly with his Okeanos, and that's one of the problems with Wind Fairy King, that even if you are able to reset him, he still has Ventilate, which he can either A, reset himself or someone else.
Glimpsing ahead.
There was that Shiwu pick there.
Man, this
mandatory
tough.
Shiwu
Either you
pick
take out
from,
a Thor or a Gani, or you ban his speed lead. And you could tell Barion's face is not sure. Then take the full 16 seconds here.
I think I heard him say Hathor.
Did you pick?
I think
Did you pick?
I think we may have an app. His app might be locked up.
Another
Oh,
one there. So Barion might have lucked out.
It's broken.
this time Faint hit the power button. No, I'm just creating controversy where it's unneeded. I'm curious though, out of the Hathor Gani, had this played out, and it doesn't appear that it's going to, as we're going to reset. And this could create a little bit of a hiccup psychologically for
His
these
froze,
players, but
so he auto
had
played.
we played it out, do you think he would have banned Hathor or Gani? Barion.
It would have been interesting to see. I think actually Faintmemory was in a really good position with that pick ban stage there. And
Yeah, because obviously the Shiwu's been so effective
Oh my
for
God,
him, but
locked
if
out.
you leave Hathor with Gani, you're in bad shape. He's been able to exploit that as well, so you know, you almost need 2 bans there in order to feel comfortable.
And that's what's so important about first pick. So if we come back to it now and Barion gets the first pick again, it kind of at least resets it to the way it should have been at the beginning.
Right.
So
So while the boys work through their problems along with our tournament official, it gives us a chance to remind you that we are not done. We have another regional coming up from New York, October 7th at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Clay, I know you and I are going to be out there, and we're going to be joined by Childish, who was a part of that Mobile Masters triumvirate that we were lucky enough to cast for the folks. There was a lot of the influencers, including Island Grown and Fwa, the eventual champion. Koopa was also a part of the crew out there. And this will be slightly more competitive
A little bit more, just a little
get
bit.
together.
It was still a lot of fun though, and that's one of the cool things that for a lot of people that have been playing Summoner's War since the beginning, it's like well, now we get to see these events. We're seeing a lot of them pop up, kind of like out of nowhere. It's like this year is just like we've been really lucky to see all these events that Comp to us has been doing. These tournaments, and it's just allowing the chance for these communities to come together. Like right now, you get a ton of people from all over the U.S. and the world that meet each other for the first time, yet they've been playing Summoner's War together for years now.
Folks finally making the IRL connection.
it's awesome to see though, and that's one of those things where, like you said, Koopa, you play with somebody for 3 years, you know them, you talk to them every single day, 18 hours a day for some
Barion
people.
with the first pick.
Finally get
So we're
them.
back where we
are
started.
Back. We are back where we started.
And he picks the same monster.
Well,
Yeah,
He
locked
picks
in
us out
again.
for a little bit there, but then locked in the Gani. Same pick from Faintmemory as well, going with Hathor and Rakuni. And is Barion going to pick the same 2 that he had last time as well?
Hard to imagine why he wouldn't, unless there's something that he saw out of the last couple of failed attempts to build out that he wants to prevent.
He wasn't happy about.
Yeah, these teams, the rune quality from both of these players is just so powerful that the devices just can't simply handle it. It's just too much power. These devices are just turning
Is
off.
that what it is,
That's
Krupa?
what it is.
Absolutely
The
what it-
efficiency of these runes
The downside
are
of having
off
all that rune power?
the charts. Blowing up the servers.
But you shouldn't need to charge a tablet with that much strength. It should just fuel the device.
It
Should just run off of the
Run on
just
rune.
powered off of
Yes.
positive energy. Good vibes. All right, we got Yan Hong from Barion looking for his final unit to draft up against Faintmemory here in the semifinals.
The Shiwu coming through again. So far, I think it's the same on Faintmemory side. Is it the
It
exact
is.
same on
His
Barion as
final
well?
pick last time, I believe, was Chiwu. So we'll see if he picks that right now.
He might pick Chiwu because their Wusa came down from Barion, and whether he decides to ban it or not, I'd assume that you need some sort of...
He does. That Chiwu, or the Wusa is so strong. Like, if he doesn't bring something to dispel the immunity that Barion has, he either A, has to do something to strip it, or he just has to ban it. But then those are really, really strong units that Barion has.
There you go. So he does bring the Chiwu, but he still has... If Chiwu gets banned, if Barion decides to ban the Chiwu, he still has Hathor and Ethna that are able to deal with the Wusa if he leaves it in.
Yeah, this is going to be a close match.
Up, bans are down, Chiwu is out, and so is Yan Hong, and we'll see who gets the first turn. It's definitely going to be Barion in this situation, and then it's just up to Faintmemory to sustain, come back with Hathor, hopefully not get reset by Ganymede.
Right, and it's a
Otherwise, that would
smart
be
decision
very
to play the resist lead too, just with Mo Long's second skill potentially stripping and stunning. You have Xiara's bombs, so the resist lead from Hathor right now is probably the best thing worth creating right now.
So Barion gets the first pick, gets the first turn.
And unfortunately, since that Chiwu was banned, Faintmemory's going to have to deal
Massive
with the
damage.
immunity. I mean, this is one of the things that Barion talked about with his Mo Long, is the way that he plays it is very aggressive with Reckless Assault. Sometimes he doesn't even bother with the stun second skill strip and goes right for the kill right away. And there's Xiara with the kill shot, promised time.
Yeah, wasn't messing around at all. Didn't just use the first skill. Just made
Not
sure
at
that
all.
he did what he needed to do.
Alright.
Landed the bomb and detonated it right then and there.
Kind of used Faintmemory's strategy against himself. Faintmemory had said that the best way of crowd control is just taking out a unit. Unfortunately, Barion was able to do it against him faster than he could.
So the early advantage in Barion's corner.
And Ganymede able to reset Mo Long to Reckless Assault twice. That is a lot of damage. And this Rakuni is built really well. It's actually really tanky, so the fact that it's already nearly dead is putting Faintmemory in a really tough position right now.
So even with immunity on 3 of the 4 monsters, Faint decides to still use the third skill from Hathor and just sleep the Sierra alone. I don't think it's looking good too much for Faintmemory, though. I think this is heavily in favor of Barion, especially with that Mo Long doing double Reckless Assaults right at the beginning.
Yeah, that's tough to fight through. All this sleep on Gani is nice. Trying to decide, does he have enough chances here with Leica and Thor to be able to win this match?
So now here we have Hathor going. Does not have her skill up, though, on a fully just free team that she can sleep everybody. And now Wusa has the third skill up to put on the immunity and shield, and I don't think that Leica's going to be able to break through the shield on Mo Long.
Yeah, Ciara's just too strong here. He's able to play a bomb on Leica, and he's able to control him with stuns. Barion did a great job in the draft. You know, like we said, it kind of comes down to who does get that first pick. How will, you know, who will pick win fair here. And now let's say Barion gets first pick again in the next choice. Faintmemory is just going to have to decide, you know, what kind of a team am I going to do, because I can't let this happen again. And I think that's a big thing that's going through his head right now, is maybe thinking about maybe the next match. Because right now he's going through the same cycle that he went through before. We now have Reckless Assault available on Mo Long. He could potentially one-shot with Thor.
Yeah, her Hathor's probably down on this next turn, and then from there it's just making work of Leica.
Leica versus the world. And there it is. Mo Long with the kill on a Thor. Unfortunately, Leica can't stun anymore. But he's trying, though. There's the bomb from Ciara. Round 1. Round 2 goes to Barion, 1-1.
And as strong as Faintmemory looked in that first game, Barion looked equally as strong in the follow-up.
Round 3 can go either way, for sure.
What changes do you think we'll see, if any, Koopa?
Well, I want to see who gets the first pick, and I think that this is what's going to separate set Faintmemory aside from anyone else at this competition. That if Barion gets first pick and he gets a win Fairy King, if Faintmemory can make an adjustment to that and come up with something to beat that team, you know, that could be our finals.
Okay, so conversely, let's say that Faintmemory gets the first pick.
I think it works for either player. They both have a hard time drafting against that. So I mean, you're right. That would be why they would go to the finals, is to be able to actually put together something to go up against that team, because they just both rely on that one unit. And that's been something that we've been seeing all day today, is that when you know a certain player relies on a unit so heavily, it's just pick it before thinking. And here it is, Faintmemory with the pick.
Yep, and as you predicted, that heavily relied upon Ganymede, the lead pick for Faint.
I think if anyone's going to be countering the Ganymede and figuring out how to combat against it, it's going to be Barion. And immediately picking the Hathor, so he doesn't.
But even
have to
still,
choose.
look how hesitant he is. It took him 15 seconds to decide how he's going to do that. It's
Well, he's also thinking ahead as to what he imagines will be the response from Faint on the heels of his 2 picks here.
That's right. I'm thinking ahead. I'm thinking about dinner right now. Oh man, that sounds so good.
Koopa, don't fade on us now. We're in the semis.
I'm not
We're almost
faded.
home.
Man, I'm ready.
Have the Chiwu pick from Faintmemory locked down already, and is Barion thinking about banning it again and leaving the Wusa in, or?
I mean, Barion made a really smart choice taking to Hathor, because he knows he does not want to have Hathor and Gani on the opposition, and so I think that him picking Hathor, even though maybe he doesn't use it that often, I think is a really smart decision for him. Barion has a lot of strong units right now, so I'm really curious to see how the bans go. And there it is. Chiwu ends up getting the ban. Barion with the speed lead, going to be taking first turn. Faintmemory it's gonna be a little tricky for him to actually come out ahead on this. I think Barion's gonna start with really strong momentum, and I just don't know if he's going to be able to survive that.
By drafting the Hathor early, Barion was able to prevent himself from being in a situation where he had to choose between breaking up the Gani-Hathor combo or getting rid of that Chiwu, as he was able to ban the Chiwu and prevent the Gani-Hathor combo.
I think the problem with Faintmemory's composition right now is that he doesn't have any sustain, he doesn't have any immunity, and he also lost first turn as well. And for him to come back from that is going to take a lot.
This is the 3rd game of the match. It's for a guaranteed trip to Worlds and $1,000 in minimum prize money. A lot on the line.
And he needed that stun on the Hathor. With him not getting that stun, now he has 3 of his units left. The bomb goes down on Ganymede, so Ganymede's out for the rest of the game.
He wants to possibly go for a win Panda second. Just want to take him out right away. Additional turn, recovery, but not going to even play the recovery. Just goes right to the defense break. Maybe hoping Theo gets the Vile proc out of the sleep.
Lots of damage on that Feng Yan there from Hathor with the defense break on skill 2. And it leaves it up to Sierra to decide whether she wants to drop another bomb.
And I think he's got promise time available, which will immediately explode the bomb. And if he does decide, he's going to end up waking up the Ethna and the Theo.
Definitely a smart choice, though. If he didn't use that, then Feng Yan would have removed that bomb and used the second skill. So got rid of that one and on to the next.
Things not looking so good for Faint.
The doubles despair stun on Ciara, as well as Mo Longo setting this Theo up to potentially get the defense broken Ciara. Theo could potentially one-shot Ciara, and this actually make this really close.
Oh,
the Vile proc out of Ciara. There is the bomb. No promise time available yet. So, but the big thing there was cleansing the defense break off of Ciara. So now Theo can't get the kill. And that Theo's not going to be able to survive that bomb. She's going to go into a stun, proc endure, maybe get one attack after that.
Another violent proc, and now lands the double bombs. Promise time to finish it off.
One more attack from Theo. Barion in a strong position. Very close match, probably one of the closest matches we've seen all day. Barion goes to the finals.
Well, Barion the only opponent to defeat Faintmemory in a game. works his way into the finals, as you mentioned, guaranteeing himself $1,000 in minimum prize money, $2,000 if he manages to win it, and of course, the all-important trip to the World Championships next month in November. And guys, after Faintmemory won that first game in the convincing manner that he kind of did, and we had the power down issue where Faint ended up with the first pick, I thought it was a wrap on Barion. I thought there was no way that he was going to be able to come back.
Yeah, that's a really psychological thing. It's a tough thing, especially when you think you've got that strong draft, you're in a good position, you think, oh, I had it, or man, I could have had that again. But unfortunately, things like that are going to happen. So I mean, they both played phenomenally, though. That was a very close match.
And like we were talking about earlier, whoever got that Ganymede first pick, seeing how the other player reacted to it, and Barion, out of all people, being as analytical as he is, was able to make the necessary adjustments and come out on top for the last round.
And that's why he's G3, and that's why he's in the finals.
That is why.
And that's why he's earned himself another visit from Maria Ho.
Barion, you were down after the first game, but you were not out. How were you able to recover so quickly, both mindset-wise and from making the adjustments in-game?
Mindset-wise, like I said, previous match, I just stepped back a little bit, collected my thoughts. He picked up Kisamet, which basically outsped me. I got some luck there and was able to get first pick the next two and take his Gandhi, which was his most powerful unit.
Well, congratulations for making it to the finals. You have earned yourself a spot in the World Champ Finals, but first you will have to face the winner of the next match. Who do you want to face in the finals?
Well, you know, I've known Nick a long time, but I want to face Nick. I don't want to face I. So.
All right, well, you have a little time to rest, so best of luck in the finals.